Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Daimler Model 1915. The Daimler Model 1915 was a German armored car from the First World War. Armored cars were not an entirely new concept in 1914 because the Germans had already built a few prototype armored vehicles in the early 1900s. On the 28th of July 1914, war broke out in Europe. Germany wanted to invade France, but they knew that the French had built a series of fortifications along the Franco-German border, so the Germans wanted to go around the fortresses via Belgium. So on August 4th, German troops moved into Belgium, but they were slowed down by the Belgian hit-and-run tactics, where the Belgians used armored cars to great success. The German General Staff was pressured to place an order for armored cars because of the positive reports of Belgian use of armored cars in the second half of 1914. So that's what they did. In October, the Oberste Heeresleitung, Supreme Army Command, issued a specification for a new model of four-wheel drive armored cars. 3 companies were given the task of designing their own armored car. These were Daimler, Ehrhardt, and Büssing. The armored cars to be designed had to fulfill the following 15 requirements. An armament of 3 machine guns, one of them being spare. Both guns should be able to fire simultaneously in any direction. Ammunition load out of at least 16,500 rounds. A crew of 8, commander, driver, and 6 machine gun operators, later changed to a crew of 10 with 2 extra drivers. Completely armored with a minimum thickness of 5.5 mm, excluding roof armor. A maximum weight of crew, armor, armament, and ammunition combined of 2,500 kilograms, 2 MGs which weighed 75 kilograms, ammunition 660 kilograms, crew 600 kilograms, and armor 1000 kilograms. The possibility of driving forward and backwards at the same speed without turning the vehicle. A turn-enabled driver's seat in the middle of the vehicle, not required with a driver in the front and rear. Closable observation slits for the driver. Machine gun operators should not be hindered by the driver. 4-wheel drive. As good off-road capabilities as possible. Therefore, only one gear with a short gearing and had to carry wheel belts and ramps. A maximum speed of 40 to 60 km per hour, both forwards and backwards. An engine out of at least 40 horsepower. Sufficient engine cooling despite covering armor plating. Steel wheels, when possible disc wheels, not steel spoked wheels. Solid rubber tires with armored protection. On both front and rear. 2 acetylene headlamps, 1 movable electric searchlight and 1 electric lighting in the driver's cabin. By the end of 1915, all 3 companies had finished their armored car prototype. The Daimler Model 1915, the Ehrhardt EV4, and the Büssing E5P. The Daimler Motorengesellschaft Company was an obvious choice for the German army to make its armored cars because the DMG had a few years earlier, together with Krupp, built an anti-aircraft gun carrier. The engine was held in a forward compartment and constituted an in-house Daimler model 4-cylinder gasoline-fueled engine with 80 horsepower. The vehicle held a 4x2 wheel arrangement across 2 axles. The rear axle seated 4 tires to compensate for the added weight. The vehicle was equipped with 2 control posts and a special gearbox, which was designed to move in both directions at the same speed in 4 gears. To start the engine, you'll have to use the hand crank in the front. The Daimler had a length of 5.6 meters, a height of 3.8 meters, and a width of 2 meters. The Daimler weighed 9.8 tons and had a crew of 10. Speed 38 km per hour. Range 250 km. Total production only 1. The armor was the simplest. An armored box with an armored dome, calling a stationary round structure on top. The vehicle's armor was made of high-quality chrome nickel steel. The armor was 7 mm in the front and rear, and 7 mm on the side, and 5 mm on the roof. The vehicle carried 3 MG08 water-cooled 7.92 mm machine guns, of which 1 was spare. As for the requirements for 3 machine guns, the Daimler had 9 hatches, 4 in a fixed turret on top, 1 in the rear, and 2 on each side. After a year of combat testing, the German headquarters issued a new task for armored cars, according to which the vehicles were supposed to become lighter and cheaper. Daimler refused to make changes because they wanted to focus on producing the Group Daimler KD1 artillery tractor, which became a great success, with around 1,129 produced. Therefore, only one Daimler Model 1915 was ever constructed. But Earhart decided to change the design and ended up producing 53 Earhart EV4. Operational use. The vehicle was handed over to the army on October 28, 1915. From October to February, the Daimler underwent many different tests so that it would be ready to be sent to the front. On February 2, 1916, having only 2 armored cars, the Daimler and the captured Minerva, the Panzerkraftwagen Maschinengewehr Zug 1 of 1st Armored Car Platoon, was formed. On March 1st, the Daimler and Minerva with attached cars and 2 trucks were sent to the Saviersomis district of Verdun on the Western Front. Just a few days later, on March 6th, the armored cars managed to shoot towards the enemy. Both armored cars of the 1st platoon covering the crossing fired 4,100 bullets towards the French in the Sommonu area. But already upon returning to the base, the main problem of all German armored vehicles, reliability, was evident, because the Daimler broke down. After the first use of armored vehicles, the German High Command decided that using a greatly reduced platoon in battles did not make any sense and began to wait until it was fully equipped. Otherwise, it would not be possible to compare the vehicles under the same conditions. The Earhart EV4 entered the 1st Armored Car Platoon on the Western Front in mid-March 1916, but it still had to wait. Finally, on June 19th, the last armored car arrived at the unit's location. A platoon of 5 armored cars and auxiliary equipment were transferred to Alsace. In Alsace, vehicles occasionally went on reconnaissance missions, firing from a long distance towards the enemy, because the commanders knew that they were not allowed to lose any of the armored cars. After the unexpected emerge of the Romanian front, the platoon was transferred to the mountains of Transylvania. The Daimler armored car, in a place with 1 Minerva, patrolled a 6-kilometer section of the mountain highway, guarding soldiers who were repairing the roads, and they were once fired upon by the Romanians. In November, the Daimler drove away Romanian reconnaissance, covered units storming the barricades, and even took part in capturing prisoners. The Daimler also turned out to be the most reliable, and it was the last vehicle to break down. This happened on December 1st, where the engine failed, and the car, following Earhart and Bussing, also breaking down weeks before, was sent to Germany for repairs. During the renovation, 2 boxes appeared in the front of the round barbette. It is possible that these 2 boxes were used to house radio stations. In 1918, the Daimler was used as a command vehicle with an antenna and performed reconnaissance during offensive strikes. It was equipped with wireless communication devices so that the army command is constantly aware of the movements and directions of the retreating enemy. Camouflage and insignias. 1915. The armored car had no iron crosses or camouflage because it just came out of production. August 1916. Just before the unit moved to Alsace in August 1916, the abbreviated name PKRMG-C1 was painted on the engine bonnet as well as on the sides of the armored car. October 1916. In October 1916, they added iron crosses on the front and rear of the Daimler. It was likely lost in combat in 1917 or 1918, or scrapped in 1919 or 1920.